What's up, everybody? We were allowed to talk about the war changes this weekend, but I was just busy with the family, so I'm kind of playing from behind right now. But here's the thing: I got a way different take than a lot of the content creators that you might have seen videos on. I'm not super hyped on the changes. I don't think they're, I don't think all of them are in our best interest. Anyway, let's get down to that. We'll talk about it right now. We'll break everything down. It's not all bad. It's not going to be a rage video. Let's get into it right now. All right, so first things first, the Knowhere siege is ending. We're going to be seeing a blog about the exact date coming soon, but we don't know off the top right now. I want to pose a question to you guys, like how well did you receive the changes? In my experience, at least on Twitch and YouTube, people really enjoyed the changes, having the 10 energy up front, having the Knowhere team get buffs, especially on the offensive side. It helped people kind of flow back into the war scene, because the war scene has been just a wasteland up until now. People just weren't into it. They made it very offense heavy, which people did resonate with, because you like to play with your tools, not just build up tools, let other people play against them. So Knowhere siege ending, it had to end eventually. They said it was going to end eventually, and it kind of felt like a Crucible season almost, and I don't hate that. I like changing things up. I think breathes life back into it, whereas War, when it was first released, it came out, I think a year and a half later, they added 2 rooms, and then it's just been like that. Nothing changed. So I think that the Knowhere changes were very good. They're not reverting right back to the way it was, which I think is smart, and we kind of have an idea of what's coming, right? Secret Defender Siege. I don't know what they're going to call it, but Secret Defenders on offense are going to be getting a boost. I think that's cool. Especially on the offensive side, that's where they're getting the boost. It's going to help Dolphins and not super big spenders kind of do that mirror matchup if they have to, which is fine. It's also going to be like a A-Force season in a way, because Photon also has that Secret Defender trait, but she's going to be sliding in with the A-Force team, but she's also going to be getting those Secret Defender seasonal buffs. I'm going to call them seasonal buffs, which I think is great. It's going to make that team feel better to invest in. But what I would say is, don't expect A-Force to get any kind of permanent buff like they're going to do for Black Order, which we're going to talk about. They're fine the way they are. Photon's going to slot in and kind of make them a top 3 offensive team, probably, after reading her kit. It's kind of bonkers, right? And Secret Defenders themselves, there is a downside to this as well. So the people that do go hard and they buy the Secret Defender team, they're going to be good. They're probably, like, think of how good Infinity Watch was when it first came out. Think how good Darkhold was when they first came out. How good Black Order was. How good, like, every single arena team is just an amazing team. And if you look at the Secret Defender kits, yes, there's some things hidden behind arena. Not enough to make them not a phenomenal team everywhere else. Like, this team is going to come in. They'll drop Photon. Maybe you'll throw Apocalypse with them on defense, or maybe you'll use them on offense. Maybe you'll throw Namor with them for a turn meter rewind, or pre-taunt, so you can circumvent something like a Weapon X opening ability, something like that. But they're going to come in and they're going to make it super offensive heavy meta, in my opinion, because of the changes. So we'll see how that goes. I don't hate it, but there's another thing that we also learned as well, and that's basically they're gonna make mutants better. There's gonna be like an overall mutant feel to it, and it begs the question of, like, is this Age of X 2.0? Is it gonna be so outlandishly crazy that all of a sudden all mutants have 100% life, 50% damage, spawn with safeguard, immunity, defense up, give them that Infinity Watch problem? I don't think that's going to be the case. And then you got to ask yourself after that, like, what does that actually mean for mutants? So, like, how much is needed to, say, make Uncanny good, make Astonishing good, make X-Force good? And if they were to do that to those teams, what would that down trickle effect be on a team like Weapon X or Death Seed or Unlimited? Like, if they do so much to make Uncanny and Astonishing good, then those 3 newer mutant teams are going to be too good. And you're going to have, if you remember Age of X in the Crucible, then what you're going to have is like that Unlimited problem where there's just one team you can use on it, and all of a sudden we're looking at the same thing we're looking at in the current Crucible season, which is like, we always use Masters of Evil against Wakanda, and it gets boring. Well, now we're always going to use A-Force against Unlimited, or against Weapon X, or against Death Seed in War, and then that's going to be just as stale. So I don't think that's going to be the case, because they said they're not trying to do that. So, uh, how big are these changes going to be? I don't know. I don't think they're going to be enough to shake up the meta whatsoever because the current meta is speed. Go first, win. What would you need to do to Death Seed to make them beat A-Force? Well, A-Force spawns at the speed up. They're going to immediately remove all the blinds Jessica Jones is. Yeah, what would you have to do to make Unlimited beat Underworld? Where Underworld goes so fast. They put the blinds out. They put the ability block out so it neuters Rogue. Like, what? There would need to be astronomical changes, and it feels kind of like they're just dipping their toes in that right now, so I don't think that's going to be the case either. All right, next thing, the Black Order rework. I think this is being oversold by people, and I worry that people are investing in their Black Order team right now. Like, if you didn't invest in your Black Order to be good on defense this season, you definitely don't start investing in them now. You wait and you see. So the Black Order, is it inevitable? Is it going to be, the next top 5, top 3, war defense, Crucible defense, offense, whatever team? No, they're not. They're not. They're not going to be that great. People are comparing them to be the Infinity Watch level team. I call cap on that. There's no way it's going to be good as Infinity Watch, because Infinity Watch is good for 3 reasons. Safeguard, immunity, defense up, on spawn. If you don't do that to Black Order, plus give them a giant stat boost to at least make them equal to Infinity Watch, then they're not going to be that good. I'm sorry. That just, again, the speed issue. We have so many buff clears now, so when Thanos has his flip, there's so many teams that just undo it. Think Uncanny. Think A-Force. It's just, it's not going to be as good, and I don't want it to be oversold. Now, is it a good thing they're getting a rework so that people who did invest in it for the war season have a fun toy to play with? Maybe in Tower, maybe there's going to be a cosmic section in a Scourge you can play around with. Maybe in Crucible, there could be a cosmic room and people can play with it there. Yes, it's good, but I wouldn't expect it to be better than, say, a Bifrost cosmic team in that room, or even an Eternal team in that room. Like, I worry that people might be overdoing it on the team. Ron is saying 7 red Corvus, got it. Yeah, I just saw somebody in my alliance promote Corvus with gold promos. And that's the kind of thing I think you should at least wait and see. Because it's just, I don't think it's going to be what people think. Now, I'm open to being wrong on that. It'd be cool if I was wrong on that, but then I would also then counter with, so is it a defense team or an offensive team? Because if it's an offensive team, then everything goes out of whack. It's kind of a bit too much on the offensive side that the people making defense teams to try and actually, get that efficiency advantage in the way the war is structured, and we'll talk about how it's going to continue being structured that way. All of a sudden, you have one team that can get a win. That's Gamma Apocalypse. Anything else has counters. You put Apocalypse anywhere else, it has counters, and I guess you could talk about Super Skrull at that point. But how many people have Super Skrull to make that a thing, right? So let's talk about, what I think were the best changes to war. And that was the Exhaustion and the Intent bonus. And are those permanent? Well, yes, those are sticking around. The Exhaust, I think, was the best thing that could have ever happened to war. It would have made the old Heroes for Hire problem a non-factor. So I'm super excited they're going to keep that. I think that's a really good thing. The Attempt bonus, I think, is also good, making it more about efficiency as opposed to who clears first, though they need to tweak that a little bit. The Attempt bonus, you only get 2. So say you're killing a team. If you 1-shot it, you get 10 additional points. If you 2-shot it, you get 8 additional points. If you 3-shot it, you get 6 additional points. If you 4-shot it, you still get 6 additional. If you 10-shot it, you still get 6 additional points. I don't think that makes sense. I think it needs to keep going down by 2 for at least 5 times. So you get 0 efficiency bonus if you have to 5-shot one team. If you have to 5-shot one team, you messed up somewhere, okay? Because if they're losing 20% stats every single time you lose, you're not canceling. Every single time you lose, they're losing 20% stats. I'm assuming you're killing at least 1-2 people within those 5 attacks, right? Otherwise, like, you need to read up on war. You need to follow your content creators, get some better advice, and go from there. I think they need to make that attempt bonus. Like, you can lose all 10 points so that people making these juggernaut defensive teams, whether it be with Skrull or Apocalypse or Darkhold Chavez, like, there's no reason you should lose to those teams 5 times. But if you do, that the person who, made that team should actually get that kind of benefit towards their alliance. So I think these are great. I think they can be fine-tuned a little bit further. And I don't see any reason why you wouldn't fine-tune them any further. Okay, next thing to talk about, Crucible type rules. Now, this is kind of hyperbolic. So they're going to be doing room changes to, like, Cargo Bay Armory the same way they did for Knowhere Siege. They're going to do them for what I'm calling Secret Defender Siege. I'm sure they'll have a catchier name than that. So it's not going to be as intricate as Crucible is. Like right now, Crucible is like hyper focused to make things cookie cutter. They're not going to do that in War. They're already backing away from that in Crucible. But even with what they're going to do in Crucible, they're going to make it interesting for theory crafting. Now for War, if they were to go too in depth on the theory crafting side of it, it's going to overload alliances. It's going to overload officers. So if they are trying to go that route, I would highly caution against it. Again, I didn't make the call, unfortunately, so I couldn't give this feedback to them in live, nor can I just call them up and talk to people in charge of it. But think about it from this perspective. Out of your alliance, you have 24 people. Do you have at least 3, 4, 5 people that hate Crucible? Because that's what I see in my YouTube comments, and those are engaged players. That's what I see in some Twitch chatters, and those are engaged players. So it's not just casual players that sometimes despise a mode that otherwise is universally loved. Like everybody kind of has their own feeling on certain game modes and stuff, and something that takes as much time as Crucible to really learn kits and theory craft and follow people, like that's not a thing that everyone wants to get involved with. So if you start introducing that type of in-depth strategy, or move progression paths you need to do with certain counters to counteract some of the room rules that might be placed there, you will burn out players and you will burn out captains trying to teach their players. So I wouldn't expect Armory to all of a sudden skill characters give 5 energy to adjacent characters. Like that's not going to happen. It's not going to be something as intricate as that. It might be as simple as like characters here gain immunity, which would have a lot of implications actually, so maybe not immunity. Characters in this room will all spawn with offense up. Characters in this room will... there's things that would absolutely just ruin counters, right? Like, so if it was like, characters in this room on defense will spawn with 10% extra speed bar. Well, that fucks everything up. Like, excuse my language. So I wouldn't expect it to be that in-depth, so don't expect... the way matches play out, your counter sheets, your counters themselves, don't expect them to drastically change from this. So on the whole, like I don't hate everything we've talked about. Like I don't think Thanos and the Black Order team should all of a sudden be a top 3 team. They're an older team. You'd have to, if newer players that have skipped on them would have to do crazy events, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Age of X 2.0, like I don't think it's going to be that drastic, so I don't think that's a bad thing. Secret Defenders becoming better on offense and A-Force becoming better, I don't think that's a bad thing either. But what I did think was super bad was the energy changes they're talking about. Oh my god, guys, this new energy change, where instead of having 10 attacks up front, which was universally the most celebrated thing about the Knowhere Siege. Universally, people were like, I'm so happy I have my attacks out the gate. For them to go, now you have 6 energy out the gate, you get 4 energy 12 hours later, everyone's like, why on earth is that the thing you're trying to change? Now, the stated reason for changing it was events. And I call super mega omega lol cap on that. Like, it's such a joke that you would tell me it's events is the reason why you're making that change. I'm not buying it. I'm not. So the reasoning, the exact reason they gave is like, okay, so when War starts, if we have an event where it requires individual players to get 10 war attack or 10 war wins in, actually, the engaged players are coming in, they're doing 14 attacks, and then other people are coming in a couple hours later, and all of a sudden they can't do the event. I agree with you. That sucks. That's your fault. That's your fault for making a stupid event structure, okay? That's not the way it should be. If you want to use war attacks to be used in, war wins to be used in a event, you need to make it an alliance event. But don't attach a leaderboard to it, because that's dumb. Because here's the thing. If you are requiring players to get 10 war wins in to complete the event, then you are by definition requiring alliances to full clear for every single one of their players to complete that event. So why not just make it an alliance event? So then, by your mission, the super tryhards are coming in, they're getting work in, they're doing 14 wins, let's go, let's go, let's go! And then your casuals come in, and they're casuals for a reason. If they cared enough to do the actual gameplay in War, then they would be logging in earlier. Then they'd be being in a different war zone where they can log in earlier. That's what would be happening. So I'm not buying it. What I think is the actual reason is they didn't realize that we don't need to do 4 war buys if we get 10 energy off rip. We don't. I buy 1, maybe 2 attacks every war now because I'm guaranteed my 1 loss against Gamma Apocalypse, and then I can pretty much go perfect on everything else. And I normally do, especially on Punchdown Wars. So I think that they've seen their top spending alliances, the most competitive alliances, they're no longer coring the Blitz store in order to do 4 attacks every single war. And that has been an amazing change for lots of super engaged players, because now all of a sudden I could buy an extra orb for Sylvie or for Beta Ray Bill or any new character. I can do that. And that's a really fun quality of life change for me. And Scopely, if you're listening, giving me 6 extra shards for Sylvie because I buy 1 orb of her with the cores I was able to save, is that breaking your bank account? Is that, or is that just some little pity point thing that you could give to players? You don't need to do this kind of change. And then okay, and so if there's another theory out there that maybe this is because they want to make a 1 war zone war structure. What does that matter? It doesn't matter if you want to make a 1 war zone. If your argument is then, you know, people that are asleep when war starts will be awake when the extra war energy comes in, so it's even. Well, no. So the people that were awake when the war started will not be awake when the next war energy comes. Like, for instance, say the war starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, like my current zone does. Well, I get the energy to finish my war attacks at 3 a.m. So all you've done is you've shifted the advantage on the full clear. Now you could argue that the full clear, it's only 1 point. It's not that big a deal. I would counterpoint and tell you that a lot of the most competitive wars are won by maximum 3 points. Like that close. I've seen a lot of wars that close. And just recently, I've actually had 4 examples of the full clear being the difference. And not just the full clears, but also that attempt bonus thing we just talked about. So there's no good part about this 6 and 4 energy thing to me. It seems like just a core grab, which is why the Trojan horse thumbnail had the cores in there, because I do think these positive changes, this Black Order is getting a rework. Hooray! Infinity Watch level, hooray! I'm not buying it, first of all. That's, you know, we gotta wait to see that. But it's to get our cores. Now, I get the metaphor was wrong, because, you know, the Trojan horse doesn't bring the cores in, it brings bad guys in and they steal your cores. That would have been too difficult to illustrate on the thumbnail. So I hope you just roll with that. But that's my take on it. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. I don't think so. I don't think so. That's my take on it. I don't think the energy thing is in any way, shape, or form a good thing. If it's true that their stated reason is for events, structure events differently. That's all you have to do. I'll make the events for you. It'll be easy. You said you're going to dial back on leaderboards. Just don't have leaderboards that are attached to war in any way, shape, or form. That's all you got to do. But anyway, so all the war changes overall, like how we feeling about this, guys? Let me know in the comments section below how you're feeling. Obviously, I just let myself be known. For me, the energy thing is like a huge just boo-boo. Like, it's a huge mistake. It's like you made war more interesting for the vast majority of players. So many more players are into war that they haven't been in the past. The amount of people that have come to me asking for a counter sheet, it's a huge undertaking, and we're working on that. The amount of people that have asked me for that lately is not 0. And before the Knowhere sieges, it was 0. So you're making the good steps in the right direction for war. There's no reason to turn around and run the other way by trying to get people to use cores again, because that is the driving sail to be more involved with war, is I don't need to use cores to be competitive anymore. I just need to build up offensive teams. And I think that's the way to go. But yeah, the Black Order rework, cool. We'll see how good it is. Secret Defenders, that's fine. You know, room changes, cool. Shake it up. I love that. Shake it up. A little bit more theory crafting. Maybe, you know, you X out some counters, makes other counters. Mutants getting a nice little buff there, no matter what it is. I think that's fine too. Overall, war changes look good. But it's being accompanied by the shittiest change you can imagine with that energy. And I think everyone needs to push back on that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, share, subscribe. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys another time. Bye. Bye. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.